John Benson is regarded as one of the best offensive linemen the Husson football program has ever produced. He was a 4-year letter winner from 2005 to 2008, playing for head coaches Gabby Price and Niles Nelson. Benson played on the defensive line in his first year as a member of the football program. He finished his rookie campaign with 15 total tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble in 6 games on the Eagle D-line, before being switched to the offensive line for his final 3 seasons. The 2009 ECFC first-team right tackle helped lead the Eagles to a program-best 7-3 mark at the time in 2008, advancing to the ECAC Northeast Bowl game, the program's first ever postseason appearance. Following the historic 2008 season, Benson was named to the New England Football Writers D2-D3 All-New England squad, joining Matt Benson as the only offensive lineman in program history up until this point to earn any FW All-New England honors. In his final season, Benson captained an offensive line that only allowed the opponent to sack the Husson quarterback 5 times, the second lowest sacks allowed in program history at the time of his induction, while becoming the only offensive lineman in program history to serve as team captain for 2 years. He was also a key member of a Husson offensive line that blocked for Hall of Fame running back Julius Juice Williams and Justin Lindy. Benson finished his career with 20 total tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and 1.5 tackles for loss in 36 career games played. Benson earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with an emphasis in sports management from Husson in 2010. A native of Biddeford, Maine, Benson attended Biddeford High School. He and his wife Courtney reside in Biddeford, Maine with their children Ella and Aspen. Benson is currently a carpenter for Mousom Valley Millwork in Springvale, Maine.
It's a great honor and a great pleasure to welcome John to the Husson Hall of Fame here tonight as a football player. Congratulations, John. Congratulations to your family. It's a warm welcome to everybody who came with John tonight, his wife, children, and his family. And John came to us from Biddeford High School in Biddeford, Maine as a complete football player. Biddeford High School had a tremendous culture, great coaches, and a wonderful tradition. John came here as a complete football player. His coaches inspired him, and his mentors in high school inspired him to be a great player. John never failed him. He played here with other Biddeford football players that he knew from high school, and one of them being his brother, Matt. Matt was an outstanding player, an All-New England player, as John was. At that time, only 2 All-New England linemen would have had, John and Matt. If you took a mental picture of what a football player should look like, you'd have a picture of John. If you just close your eyes for a minute, he's much more than that. But just as a football player, he's just tremendous as a player and just did great things for us. I'd like to have Nat Clark, our offensive assistant, head coach of football, speak about John as a player.
Thanks, Coach. It's absolutely my pleasure to speak on John Benson's behalf. I was John's offensive line coach his time here at Husson, and John was a great player. And I think about some of the characteristics that John has that made him a Hall of Famer. Obviously, he was athletic. Obviously, he was strong. He had great instinct. He played very smart, and he played with a lot of competitive fire. A lot of intrinsic values that John brought to the table. We'll talk about his leadership. John was a great leader, and he led in many different ways. He led by example. I think everyone kind of looked up to John, and he also was very vocal. He wasn't certainly afraid to speak his mind to other players, to coaches, to anyone around, and I think that's what kind of made John special. But he was just a great leader, and I think everyone looked up to him. The other thing that John brought to the table was his competitive fire. And again, Coach and I, we don't compare players, and we've had so many great players over the years here at Husson, but I don't know if there was anyone more competitive than John Benson. Whether it was practice, game, weight room, John just brought it to the table every single day. So competitive. He wanted to win, and he wanted to play well. And I think, and more importantly, he wanted the team to do well. As a player, as Coach mentioned before, John was the whole package as an offensive lineman. He was strong, he was tough, very physical, 265 pounds. Really, as Coach mentioned, when you look at an offensive lineman, John was certainly met every quality that we wanted. In the run game, John was just dominant. And again, for people that don't know much about football, back in 2006, 7, and 8, we loved to run the football. We still do. But at that time, we were in the I formation, under center, and we would ask John 20 to 30 times a game to beat the guy in front of him, one-on-one. And John did that, and that's why we were so successful. In the pass game, John was a tremendous pass blocker. And in his time at Husson, I'm not sure that John ever gave up a sack. And he was just, again, he was a great athlete, tough, and did so many great things. Lastly, John was a great puller. And what pulling is in football, for you that don't know, is when John gets out in the open field and he serves as a lead blocker for our running backs or ball carriers. And at 265 pounds, John was a great puller. And he'd get out in front there and use his athletic ability and his toughness. And you know, Coach and I talk about it all the time about this being a dream job. And I think John Benson was a great example of why it's a dream job. He came to work every day, practiced hard, he played hard, he was a leader, everyone looked up to him. As a coach, you know, you use the word coach's dream all the time. Not only was John a phenomenal football player, all New England, all conference, but he was a coach's dream. And when you come to work every day and get to work with guys like John Benson, it makes this a dream job. So all those reasons, it is certainly my pleasure to introduce John Benson into the Husson Hall of Fame.